If you'd like to make your NFL games a little more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezek.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And sports are going crazy right now. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. The golf has been great. Major League Baseball, always and always NFL conversation to get to as well. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Those of you that check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL can see some of the game balls, some of the helmets behind me. Got a bunch of different shows, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, the College Draft Podcast, really whatever you're into on the football side of the ledger, we've got it for you. This is 30 minutes of on-demand audio and video talking about whatever is going on in the betting world, in the sports world, especially when it comes to the National Football League. Check me out on social at Ross Tucker NFL and check out the show on social at Ross Tucker Pod. We have a very special guest today, and when I say we, I mean me and Steve Fezek, the only 2-time winner of the Super Bowl of professional football gambling, the Super Contest at the Westgate. Check him out at Fezek Sports. And Steve, today we're joined by my buddy JJ, John Jastremski. We used to work together at WFAN. Now, I don't do that show anymore, and neither does he. You've come over to the dark side, JJ. You're on the podcast side of the business, huh?
Yeah, listen, it's always a pleasure being on with you, Ross. Fezek, big fan. I'm a big fan of both of you guys. And Ross and I killed it throughout the football season. And we did such a good job that Ross is no longer doing the show at FAN. And now I've turned coach. So I'm working for my dude, Bill Simmons. And we're doing the same sort of stuff with New York, New York. We're talking New York sports. We're talking gambling, picking winners, and having a whole lot of fun. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, absolutely. There's a couple of things we got to get to. First of all, those of you that are listening, you might have to check out the YouTube page because Steve is wearing a unique NFL jersey today. I don't want to give it away, but Steve is wearing a unique NFL jersey, and he said to me before the show, let's see if anybody can guess whose jersey this is. If they do, I will take him out to dinner the next time they're in Vegas. Well, I was able to guess, and I won't tell you why, but because that would give it away. But I was able to guess. Maybe next week I'll tell you why. And then right before we started the show, JJ's first thing was, "Is that a bleep 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 jersey?" So we'll see. You're gonna have to check it out on YouTube, or at least check out the social media clips to see. But JJ and I both got it right away, so it's not going to be that hard for you to go ahead and actually get a chance to go out to dinner with Steve Fezek. You just got to email me, ross@rosstucker.com. Before we get into any of the betting stuff, though, JJ, you got to tell me, how'd the whole thing go down with Ringer and Simmons and getting into the podcast game?
Ross, I felt like I was a free agent getting recruited, dude. It was pretty wild, man. You know, you get the message from Bill Simmons on Twitter. That definitely opens your eyes. You're like, dude, Bill Simmons got 10 million followers. He's following me. It's like, well, what's going on here? So, we got on the phone. We talked for an hour. It was like a first date that we kind of knocked out of the park. And, dude, when you get recruited by, one of those brands, it's like, dude, imagine you're a free agent and the Yankees come calling. That's what it felt like, dude. It's like, yeah, you go to the hometown team. It's like, well, can we match this? And it's like, yeah, Bill took care of business, man. He didn't mess around. It's a great opportunity. He's building around me, which is great. And, dude, it's been awesome. Like, everything about making the switch to the podcast world, it's been everything I could have imagined and then some. We got calls. We got A-list guests. We're having a ton of fun. And the idea, fellas, to keep on keeping on. That's the bottom line. That's what we're going to try to do.
I love it. Well, when you're ready for me to come on and tell you what the deal is with the Giants
and Jets. Football season,
when
you smack talking my Dolphins about 2 of 5 games into the year, Ross and I are going to be going at it, Fezzik. So expect that to be the case, you know?
You know what's so funny? It's so funny that you said that, JJ, because I'm about to tweet something shortly after the show. Did you see the quote that Peter King had that Tua said recently? Let me read this to you.
Let's hear it.
I didn't actually know the playbook necessarily. Really, really good. And that's no one's fault but my fault. I mean, first of all, why did he not know the playbook really good? Secondly, does he not realize how not smart it is to admit that? I love Tua. I met Tua when he did the U.S. Army Bowl. But, JJ, what are we doing? I mean, what are we doing not knowing the playbook as well as you should, number one? Number two, admitting it.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger problem. Now, listen, you guys know last year was this weird, messed up, chaotic year with COVID, not having full OTAs, not having the full rookie minicamp. So maybe, Ross, that element comes into play a little bit. But it's one of those things where even if that's true, even if you feel like you were a step behind in learning Shane Gailey's offense, don't say it, dude. Don't say it. And I think what he was trying to do is kind of illustrate the fact that I feel a lot more comfortable this year, that I got Jalen Waddle, that I got Will Fuller, that I got all this speed now, I got a new system, and I'm ready to hit the ground running. That's all well and good. And I think he's going to make a big step forward this year. But when you have a so-so rookie year, you don't want to add fuel to the fire. And let's be honest, he adds a little fuel to the fire by putting this sort of quote out there. I don't think there's any doubt.
All right, time out. So there's a pandemic going on. No parties, no lifestyle, no South Beach. If there was 1 year that you were uniquely benefiting from being able to stay home and study a playbook, it was 2020. But now that we're going wide open and there's going to be parties nightly, beach is open, now he's going to study the playbook. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm actually confident Fezzik is going to be okay. Call me crazy. And, you know, I think for a lot of these guys, the rookie OTA workout, you know, a quarterback getting all that information and processing it, I think you need that on-field game experience. I really do. Tua didn't have that last year. And listen, he wasn't as good as Justin Herbert. He wasn't as good as Joe Burrow. It wasn't Dwayne Haskins in his rookie year, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like you saw him and was like, holy smokes, he can't play. The problem he ran into, you have this experienced gunslinger that had 20 years of knowing that system in multiple places, in Buffalo, with the Jets, and with Miami. And it's kind of like a crutch. You know, like you have a crutch, guys, and it's a word crutch. I have it all the time where you just say it over and over again. Well, that was kind of Brian Flores with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He knew he had that crutch there. And first sign of trouble for the young quarterback, okay, I can go to this guy, can let him rip and let him go and play. He don't have that now. That's why this year is so imperative. It's so crucial for Tua. He has to make a major step forward. And I think with the talent they put around them, guys, I think he's going to.
Here's a question, Steve, and I think this is an important one. By the way, you can check out John, JJ, on social media at John_Jastremski. Steve is always at Fezek Sports and only at Fezek Sports. Although they did get rid of your impostor, Steve. Did you notice that?
Did they?
Wow, you got a burner.
That account
How about that?
Enough people. JJ, there was an account, I'll just say it now, at Real Steve Fezek that was not Steve. And I know people that personally like DM'd him or whatever, or got DM'd by, like, followed him. And then that guy DMs them and they start doing stuff together, buying picks or whatever, and he rips them off.
Wow.
So somehow they were able to kibosh it. Like, if you look at it, I can look at it again, but last time I looked, it was suspended. Like, you know, you've made it, by the way. If people are like doing fake accounts of you, yeah, account suspended. Twitter suspends accounts which violate the Twitter rules. So thankfully that won't happen to anybody else. But here's my question, Steve. Do you ever, like that quote by Tua, has there ever been a quote that's like actionable in your mind? Like, we're all kind of wait and see on Tua. Nobody's like down on him. Nobody loves him. It's all kind of in between. Has there ever been like, oh man, like, because there was a couple things that Haskins did where I was like, oh god,
I'm out.
No.
I'm
and
out.
Tua hasn't done that. But is there ever a time, Steve, where you saw a quote from a guy and you're just like, oh no, this is not going to go well?
Actually, I pay much more attention to coaches, especially rookie coaches, because rookie coaches haven't learned to lie yet. So savvy coaches, everything they say, take with a grain of salt. But especially you get like a rookie coach in the NBA, for instance, and he says something like, wow, we just got torched for 150 points. We really got to ratchet up the defense and slow it down. Boom. Bet the under the next game. You can believe him. Anyone else, grain of salt.
But what? No players, like no player that says something like this where you question their judgment.
Well, whenever a player is critical internally of the coaching staff or other players, that's a team that I want to avoid because of the chemistry issues. Yes.
All right. Well, speaking of NBA, let's get JJ's thoughts. JJ is a DGen, as they call him. He bets on everything, just everything. All right. Blazers tonight for the rest of the series. What do you got, JJ, on the Blazers?
So, fellas, I took Portland to win this series after losing game 3. So I ended up getting Portland at plus money. They ended up smoking Denver in game 4. And what to me is encouraging about Portland moving forward, they won a game in this series without their best player, Damian Lillard, going off. I don't expect Damian Lillard to have 2 off nights here in this series. I know Jokic is a beast. He's going to win the MVP. But with the injuries for Denver in the backcourt, specifically Jamal Murray, I think you're going to see guard play, which now runs the NBA, determine this series. Yes, Portland is shaky at times on defense. Yes, they're going to have to win a game on Denver's home court. The good news is they've already done it here in this series. I like Portland tonight, and I like Portland for the series. Portland's going to win this series. I don't know if it's in 6 or 7. Yeah, hell with it. I'm going to say they win the next 2 games. I got the Blazers getting it done tonight and then wrapping this baby up on their home floor in game 6.
Steve, any thoughts?
I went with one prop tonight. I played the Joker under 5.5 assists. And this is all about the way Portland defends Jokic. They don't go ahead and double and triple team him when he gets the ball like many other teams do. And so because of that, they're perfectly content Jokic pouring in his 30, but he doesn't get as many assists against Portland than he does against the rest of the league. In this series, he's gone for 1, 5, 5, and 1 assists. Kudos to Mackenzie Rivers, who pointed this out to me. This has been the case during the regular season as well. So best bet, Jokic under 5.5 assists tonight.
I like that, Steve. I like that a lot. See, that's just kind of inside information that I expect from you. I got to ask you, because the first game tonight, JJ, and some people will listen or watch this afterwards. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. Celtics, Nets, okay? You have lived in New York your whole life, correct?
That is accurate. Aside from Syracuse counts too, even though it's like it's not really New York, but it does count for 4 years.
And
so
you
accurate.
were on WFAN in New York City for how many years?
9 years.
Okay, the biggest radio station in the country, most well-known, whatever. In all sincerity, how many Nets fans do you know? Like over the last 20 years, how old are you?
33. Just turned 33 a couple weeks ago.
How many legitimate Nets fans did you know going back 5 years ago?
5, 6.
So, seriously, right?
I don't think that number's changed, quite frankly, Ross, by the way. I don't think it's
it looks
changed
like
a
when
lot.
I watch the games, it looks like it's changed.
Well, you know what it is? You get a lot of tourists coming in. You got a lot of the Johnny-come-latelys coming in. I don't know if they're legitimate diehard Net fans. I can tell you this. The Knick conversation in town has been off the rails. People are buzzing about the Knicks, even though they're probably going to lose this series. And the Knicks winning a first-round series, to me, would mean more to New York City than the Brooklyn Nets winning an NBA title. That's just the God's honest truth.
Vegas does not believe in the Knicks. Get this. Circus Sports right now, just to win the East. Not to win the title, to win the East. You can get the Knicks, hold for it, 500 to 1.
Fezek, I'd love to take a lottery ticket. I'd love to say that my New York blood is running true. That's a donation. That is an absolute donation, bro. They will be lucky to win Game 5 on Wednesday night, yet alone the Eastern Conference. Come on now. Let's be real. They don't got the talent. They've had a great year. It's house money the rest of the way. They're not even winning this series. Let's call it like it is.
So, while we're on Nets, I do have to ask both of you guys this. I'll start with you, JJ, being there in New York. So all the years that you're on local radio, now you're doing your New York show, people don't care about the Nets. They don't call up about the Nets, right?
Very few. Very few. Like Yankees and Mets, there's legitimate fans on both sides. Giants and Jets, legitimate fans on both sides. Rangers, Islanders, there's more of an to me, guys, there's more of an Islander contingent because of what they did in the early 80s than there is a net contingent. Now, maybe that changes over the next 5 to 6 years. I don't know. But as of right now, no. The net fan, my friend, is few and far between, as we like to say.
You know what's funny, too, about it, guys? You know, I tweeted last week, it might have been Game 2, at Ross Tucker NFL. You know, it looked like it was a packed place. You know, in Brooklyn, it was packed. And I've met one Nets fan in my whole life. And I lived in the Northeast like my whole life. I went to college in New Jersey. Like, I met one Nets fan ever, okay? People that got offended by it are the bandwagon jumpers.
Absolutely.
The legit Nets fans are like, you're gosh darn right. Like, you know, I've been a fan since Van Horn, or I've been a fan since Kenny Anderson and Derek, whatever it is, right? They're like, you're 100% correct. Like real authentic Nets fans, they admit that there aren't other Nets fans.
They should know the dynamic.
Right. They know that there aren't other Nets fans. And they know that these people are bandwagon jumping. It's the people that are bandwagon jumpers that get offended. Here's my question. Are you jumping on the bandwagon, JJ, in the sense that you've seen enough to believe that the Nets should be the favorite to win the whole thing and are the best?
Yeah, I think they're the most talented team. The problem I have with Brooklyn is twofold. What kind of defense are they going to play? And if they run up against a team with legitimate size, that means Philadelphia, assuming Joel Embiid comes back. If they end up matching up with the Lakers, let's say, and you got to go up against Anthony Davis, that to me is where the Nets run into trouble. Those three guys, though, are awfully tough to stop. When they're firing on all cylinders, and I don't like them, I'm not a Kyrie Irving fan, I'm not a Kevin Durant fan. How you matching up with those guys one-on-one? It's almost impossible. They can shoot. They can beat you off the dribble. They're scary talented.
Steve, what are you seeing with some of the NBA odds changes, futures right now?
So we have to address the Lakers. I've never seen such a huge change in the odds based upon one game fairly early in a series. Before Game 4, the Lakers were minus 800 to beat Phoenix. So you had to bet $8 to win $1. Then AD gets injured. And I tell you, Vegas is basically saying they don't think he's coming back. And if he does for this series, he's not going to be close to being AD. Phoenix is now the favorite against the Lakers to win the series, minus 160. So the feeling is that Ayton is going to feast without AD in the middle, and that LeBron, it's all on him. And LeBron is not LeBron in his prime. It's not going to be enough.
This is crazy, by the way, because last week, after, was it Game 1 or Game 2, where Chris Paul hurt his shoulder?
Game 1.
Yeah, so it's Game 1, okay? And I followed my guy, Dr. Chow, at Pro Football Doc, and like the Suns were saying it's a bruised shoulder, and Dr. Chow's like, that looks like a subluxation and a labral tear, and I was like, oh, the next two games, next two games, he couldn't have been worse. I mean, he couldn't play, he wasn't good. But then last game, he was good. Like, I was shocked. I thought, to your point, Steve, I thought Lakers are going to roll now. Chris Paul's done. And then with AD getting hurt and Paul playing better, it's like the whole thing flipped again, JJ.
No doubt. And I didn't expect that out of his Suns. I didn't expect that out of Paul in Game 4. Give him credit. But I bet the Lakers guys after game 1 of this series, because I got them at like even money. And I was like, listen, Davis, LeBron against an inexperienced Suns team, I got to take that bet. But because of what Steve just said, I'm not doubling down on this. I don't want to get involved with the Lakers because I don't know what the deal is going to be with Anthony Davis. And can LeBron now turn back the clock and put the Superman cape on and carry the Lakers to this series win? He's going to have to, because everything Steve said about this line, Vegas does not think Davis is going to be the Davis we expect him to be and the Davis that he was last year. So I'm hoping and praying with my Lakers series bet. But because I'm sick and tired of them and I'm sick and tired of LeBron James, I'm happy to lose a little money on this one if it means the Lakers go down. Just saying, guys.
Now, this is really important. JJ, an expert in the NBA, has just given you an implied bet. So this is a tip for all the listeners. When you have someone in the media that's very, very knowledgeable about things, and basically to paraphrase, JJ is not so confident about the Lakers' chances, but he did say, hey, it's all on LeBron. Absolutely. His usage is going to be tremendous. So who cares who wins tonight? Bet LeBron James over 26.5 points. It's minus 140 because the usage, the minutes, and the shots. We've all seen this movie before. In these all-in critical games, LeBron gets more touches and he takes over. And so what if he goes 11 for 32 shooting? He still goes over the 26.5.
Yeah, I like that. I guess the only way that prop doesn't hit is if you get extended garbage time in this game and the Lakers or the Suns are up by a ton of points and they're thinking about game 6. If this game goes down to the wire, Fezek, that prop is going over, and it's easily going over because I don't think Davis is going to play. And if he does, I don't expect a whole lot.
And I also like Aiden over. He's been a monster in the middle, in the paint. He only got 14 game 4, but with no AD, he had 3 games that he scored 20-plus in the series. Aiden over 14.5. Another prop bet. I normally don't have this many prop bets, but with fewer games, I've been getting more deeply into the prop betting. And I might add, if you want to win betting on the NBA, we can have some nice discussions about Portland, Denver, etc. But these lines are, in my opinion, very close to being rock solid and spot on. But these prop bets, they can vary dramatically. And if you can get in early on bets like this, I can tell you all day long, it's going to be a freight train to cash on LeBron and on Ayton and on the Joker assist under, because it's so logical. It makes sense. Bet it early in the morning before the line moves.
Speaking of rock solid and on point, right before we started the show, and you can ask Brian, our producer, Steve said to me, Ross, your hair is looking great. You know why it's looking great? Keeps. I'm not afraid to admit it. JJ probably uses Keeps. I've never seen the dude without a hat on. So he's probably using Keeps as well. He wears a hat every day. Stop wearing the hat, JJ. Go to keeps.com/evenmoney to get your first month free. The FDA has 2 approved drugs to help your hair, to help you keep your hair. One's a pill. I take it every morning. One's a topical solution. You've seen the commercials. I rub it on my bald spot in the morning and at night. Whatever. I have a bald. I don't care. I have kept my hair. It's the greatest name for a company of all time because it's true. They keep the hair you have. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/evenmoney to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's KEEPS.com/evenmoney to get your first month free. Keeps.com/evenmoney. By the way, I always think this is amazing. When they want me to spell out Keeps, I always think like, if someone can't spell Keeps, we got way bigger issues than male pattern baldness, right? Like if you can't spell Keeps, we got a whole other conversation. Like there's another medicine that we should discuss. If you can't spell Keeps, I mean, it's unreal. All right. Anything else, JJ or Steve, on the NBA? Clippers, Knicks, whatever. JJ, you're on it. Anything else on your mind?
I hopped on the Clippers, guys. I took them when they were down 2-0 in this series, and I feel really good about that, Fezek. I got them at like plus 2-1. I'm feeling really, really confident about my chances. And I know they're a soft team, and they lost the first 2 games at home. They're just a lot better than Dallas. Point blank, they're a better team. Talent, more often than not, wins in the NBA playoffs. Clippers are winning this series.
Well, and Luka's neck thing is not good either.
Well, that's another thing. And I didn't expect that.
I don't remember. Maybe I'm just wrong. I don't remember this many injuries being a part of, playoffs in the past. It feels like there's a lot, AD and Chris Paul and, obviously Luka. Like, injuries are very real this postseason, Steve.
Well, I think go back to last year in the bubble. The season didn't end until October, right? So now guys had to come back, start playing Christmas time. They didn't get the normal rest period to help their bodies heal and the like. And I think that's a big part why we're seeing so many injuries. By the way, Joel Embiid, right knee soreness? Really? That's why he exited? Sure looked like he took a big whack to his tailbone. And I'm not going to say that I don't believe teams and the like, but the fact that he said they're saying right knee soreness, it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't have a hairline fracture of his tailbone.
Let me
get Dr. Chow on that, by the way. You got to get your boy Dr. Chow on that, Ross.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure he already is. All right, here's a question. I'm a Sixers fan, right? Do you guys think that the Nets and Bucks having to play each other helps the Sixers?
Yes.
Or do you think, you've seen them, JJ, every night, Atlanta's good enough to give the Sixers a decent series?
Well, it's all going to depend on how you guard Trae Young. I think you'll do a better job of attacking Trae Young as opposed to the Knicks because you got better shooting, number one. And I think Simmons can be a mismatch nightmare in the way he can post up Young. But Embiid's got to play. That's the one thing, Ross. If Embiid does not play in that series, could get dicey for your team. Atlanta is by far and away a tougher matchup for you than the Knicks. It's not even close.
Anybody else? Anything? Go ahead, Steve. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I think so often in the media we want to focus on matchups. I'm a power rating guy. It's ludicrous. Like your question you asked, Ross, it's almost too easy to answer. Atlanta's not even the same class as the big three in the East. Power rating wise, they're about 3 points better than an average team. You look at Brooklyn, they're about 9 points better. Philly with a fully healthy Embiid, 7.5 points better. Milwaukee, 7 points better. So,
Steve, where do you get these numbers?
I look at point per game differential as a
now.
Starting point.
But here's my question: are those just your power rating, or are those like the power ratings?
No, those are mine. But they're the average person isn't going to differentiate. They're not going to be very far off, or they shouldn't be. If they are far off from mine, because I look at some other people's and the like. But the bottom line is Atlanta's a nice little story, and they've gotten healthy and much better coaching. So yeah, they're a significantly better than average team. But they're not even in the same class as the big three. So having Brooklyn have to collide into Philly while you get, Philly getting to bye, basically, in my opinion, getting to play Atlanta, they're going to be like minus 500 to win that series with a healthy Embiid. So that's an enormous advantage for Philly.
Last question, JJ. You're ready to put your stake in the ground in the NFC East, aren't you?
I am.
You are ready to say who you think. And you like back-to-back champions. So this is, why you like Washington. I know that. You know why you like Washington? Because it reinforces your whole thing about Fitzpatrick and Tua. That's why you like Washington.
No, not at all, Ross. I just think Washington's defense is studly. I mean, you got Chase Young, you got Montez Sweat. Now you have a competent quarterback. And I know nobody wins that division back-to-back years. The trends back that up. Dallas's defense stinks. I don't believe in Daniel Jones. The Eagles are clearly rebuilding. So I just think there's value, guys, with the football team. Let's go. Washington to win the NFC East. I'm all about that action.
A wise guy, darling bet right there. Washington open plus 350 to win the East. All the money on Washington. I think you can still get them plus 250. I fully endorse it. Whenever you make a division bet, you want to avoid a division with 4 decent teams, right? So here you got the ideal situation where down year again for the Giants. Philly's going to have a down year with no quarterback. So it's a 2-team race. Washington opens 8 wins. Dallas 9.5. And guess what's happening? Money against the Cowboys, money on Washington. So Dallas' season wins dropping to 9. Washington's going up to 8.5. The markets are saying, despite all that public Cowboy money out there, that these two teams are close to equal. And yet the Cowboys are even money and Washington's plus 250 to win the division. Love the Redskins. Love JJ's bet.
Here's the deal. If you are into New York sports at all, you need to listen to JJ's show. JJ, tell them all about it one last time.
Ross, you the man. Appreciate you, Fezek. It's New York, New York. Can download it on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. But we got bonus episodes Wednesday and Friday for Nick playoff games. Whenever something's hopping, we're cooking. Ross will be on the show. Fezek will be on the show. And we'll make you guys a whole lot of money and have a whole lot of fun.
Awesome. JJ, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Anytime, all right?
What a fun show, Steve. That was awesome. Can't wait to see. Hey, you can send me a tweet at Ross Tucker NFL or email me. Probably the better way to go about it. Ross@rosstucker.com. If you know the jersey that Steve Fezek is wearing on today's show to get that dinner with him out in Vegas. Next week, we should have a surprise guest who I am so excited for. When you guys, you'll know what I mean when you get a chance to hear or listen to him next week. You'll be pumped up. Little NFL win totals conversation and more. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for listening to the Even Money Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, the Fantasy Feast, Business of Sports, and the College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.